Hello, I'm Log, and this is my playthrough of City Skylines. We set up a basic town and I showed you how I got this going, putting in a small industrial area, some residential zones and a little bit of commercial to get us started. And this video the focus will be on starting extending my generic industry into a specialised forest one over here. This isn't the Industries DLC forestry one. That will unlock slightly later for us, and I'll cover how those two differ when we unlock them. I want to be able to... Oh, we've leveled up. This is good. We can start on some agriculture and farming, and we've just moved into an area with lots of trees, so it's probably a good place to start this forestry stuff. Agriculture we'll consider as well. We'll have to look and see if we've got somewhere suitable for agriculture. So if we zoom out, this will have unlocked our few more views, including our natural resources overlay. If we click that, we can see areas of dark green which are forest. Forestry industries need dark green for their supplies. So this would be a good area to start building some forestry. There's some black here, so that's a good place for oil. Once I get oil that can go at sea. And there's a little bit of oil I can reach from the edge of the land, so if I needed to start my industry I could consider doing so there. See, there's not really any areas that are good for fertile land, which is the farming. So we're going to have to wait till we get over into this side for farming. Equally, it looks like this peninsula must be made of some interesting ore, so we've got the option for an ore mine here. The moment you get this overlay, it's worth zooming out, because although you can't go outside your area, you can look at the tiles around you. See how big your tile is, and you can buy tiles next to you. So we'll probably be able to buy that tile, which will be a lot of forest and some oil, but again it's all in the water. We could buy this tile, which will extend this connection and bring us in contact with a railroad. Could be useful. It may as well, looking at that, we might just get the edge of this, so you could think about building a farm there. So maybe that would be something to consider, that we won't worry about building a farm over here where we'd be in sort of a squished bit on this side of this river. Maybe it's worth building a farm in this area. We'd also extend here and be able to build a bigger forestry section. We could think about starting a forestry industry here and then extending it through this area. There's no oil nearby until we get up here. That's probably 1, 2, possibly even 3 zones away before we could start a big oil industry. And again, there's not really any more minerals close by, so it's probably worth saving this area for minerals if you want to do a mineral industry. So I will probably do that, but I think this is a good spot for farming, for forestry, sorry. Nowhere for farming just yet. So I will make that my focus, that I'll begin a forestry industry here. Go into our industry tab, garbage and industry. You can see we've not got the forestry DLC stuff unlocked yet. We've only got the forestry specialisation. I won't go into the difference between those two just yet because it's a bit much, so I'll probably make that in another video shortly. The first thing you need to do for industrial specialised areas is to start zoning a forestry industrial section. If I click this, I can't draw a zone in this tool. For these industrial specialisations, and indeed later the commercial and residential specialisations, you need to start doing districts. So let's start making a district. We seem to have already zoned up several areas. I've got an industrial area here, so I'll paint this in roughly where I want it to be. You can change it later, so I'll say that this is going to be my normal industry area for now. It's a good idea to sort of follow roads and things, because as stuff builds, it's where it touches the road it picks up its zoning from normally. Try and get it up to there. You can change the size of the tool between a massive one, cover big areas, a medium one to cover things in more detail, or this tiny one that'll is good for tidying up afterwards. If you hold down left mouse button instead of right mouse button, you can also cut back industrial zoning and district areas, so I can shrink this back. I can also, you start inside an area and then hold. You start inside an area and hold left mouse button, you can paint over it. If you right click inside an area, you can cut holes out the middle of it, which can be helpful if you want some little island of not part of a zone. But it's a powerful tool for later because you can apply citywide policies and specific zone-wide ones. Let's start the zone. That'll actually be our industry specialisation of forestry. So let's cover this area, and I'll tuck it in there as well. I'll say this is going to be part of the forestry. So now I've got an appropriately named Willow Heights. So with all my areas zoned, let's do something with them. Willow Heights is a nice name. Let's go to the forestry industry specialisation and click on this. You can now see it has gained a little tree under its name. That designates it as an industrial area specialising in forestry. If I was to get the farming one and click farming, this would become a farming area, but there's not much point doing that because it's not on fertile land. It will work for some things, but not a lot. To remove a zone, you can right click whilst you've got it selected, or you can go in here and there's a generic industry zone, which will, when you click, remove things as well. So this will leave us generic industry for now. In our commercial, we've also got organic and local produce, so if you've got farms, this is a good thing to do to cause more demand for your farm goods. And no commercial zone. Well, there's no point that we've got no already. Residential specialisations, you can also get self-sufficient buildings and no specialisations. So I might, for my little fancy area here, actually change things around a little bit, even though I've already done the zones, and put in a little self-sufficient thing here to make this an extra special little section. It'll look a bit different. Now there's a warning when you do this. When you put in a new zone and apply a rule to it, a specialisation to it, or something cosmetic, it causes all the buildings that are in it to get dezoned, removed, and then built back. So you need to watch it. When I click this and let this simulate, you'll see that these houses start to pop away because they're going to be replaced by the new specialised houses that are in this zone. This is true if you change the styles in a zone as well. So you need to watch it. If you build a zig zone or you change the style of your whole city, a huge amount of stuff will get torn down and then put back, and that can really mess with your population, your income, and how things are going. So be careful when you do that. It's safer to zone new areas before they get built, basically. So let's start with the specialisation I promised you. This is going to be our forestry area. Let's build a couple of roads across, and we'll leave quite a bit of space. Should be okay. That will look alright. And then for the regular zoning specialisations, you can simply zone in. That's all you have to do. So it's in an industry zone that's specialised in it. When they get built, this will not build regular industry, it will only build forestry specific industry. So if we can click in here, we see we're getting something called Woody's Wood coming up. Which sounds suitably forestry related. Good. You do need to watch it with forestry and agriculture. Pollution will damage their output. So you see down here, the pollution's coming out and there's dead trees on the ground that have no leaves. There's dead trees everywhere, to be fair. I don't think that's pollution related. You'll see if this pollution starts to reach in, it will kill these trees and turn them brown and dead, and that will hamper organic-based industries, or industries where stuff grows. You'll even see at some points like these trees, if they get polluted, will turn brown and die and not produce anything, so you need to watch that. It's a bit risky having it next to this landfill site that when it fills up it will become polluted, but we'll see how it goes. So that's the specialised industry we've done. Let's get back to zoning things normally. So you can see that our industry zone's grown up a bit and our demands have been fluctuating. You may have noticed while I let it play that everything went down to low and then back up again. Don't worry too much if you see these going up and down in short periods of time. It is very reactive to what's going on in different areas. So as buildings level up, they increase in capacity. So some of these houses are probably, oh no, they're still 1 star. When they become 2 star, they'll probably be able to fit 4 people in. So you'll see things get bigger. This one's nearly there, so it's already got 3 households in it. 3 households. It's a bit weird, the people that live in it. So that's one big house, but it's got 3 families living in it. So it's 6 adults. Everyone seems to be in couples for the most part. You do get people that live on their own and stuff. So there's some teens, which means there were children, they've grown up, or that people have moved in from out of town. But it fluctuates, and the same happens with the commercial. As the convenience store levels up, it'll get space for more workers, so it'll fulfill more of the demand by itself. So that might drive down the demand for a bit and then back up. And the industry is exactly the same. Some of these well-established industries have got all their workers in, and as they level up, they'll get more workers. Oh, something else has started here. This symbol here is crime. If you click on here, see that there's a high crime rate in this area. I possibly missed during the last update that we've probably now got, yes, police stations. Let's pause it and see what we unlocked in this, and that I haven't missed something. Little Hamlet was last time, Worthy Village was at the end of last episode. So we've got districts, which we've dealt with, policies and specialisations, which we've touched on. I'll go over policies later. What I didn't pay attention to is we now have police departments and emergency services. And as I said before, once you get something, your citizens will need it. And importantly, we've got firehouses now. That means there is a chance that things will catch fire and we will need to fight the fires. So it's important I build those. And we've already shown that crime is starting to build. So let's address both of those. We just saw some criminal activity, so let's go and place down a police station. There's only one option for a police station at the moment, a little basic one. When you connect it, you can see its area of coverage again. You need police everywhere, really. You need it in industrial areas, you need it in commercial areas, you need it everywhere. So I'm going to put it here. It's at the edge of the industrial area. It might be in pollution, but the police don't mind when they're working. They're near to a road that will be quite main, and they can quickly get up and down here into the area. Big wave of happy smiles as that comes in. Emergency services and fire. Now, the fire overview is quite important. You can see what's likely to catch fire and what isn't. Trees that are in well-maintained areas are not likely to catch fire. Trees that are in the wild are likely to burn. And buildings that don't have fire coverage are very likely to burn. Industry more so than residential and commercial. So I'm going to try putting this fire engine right next to the police station, and we'll see it covers most of the town reasonably well. That good enough? I could put it down here, but then I'd have to move it later. Might fit. Yeah, it could fit in there. Squeeze it in there, moves it over a little bit. A wave of happy smiles. Now you'll see that I've unpaused and it simmed a bit, and very quickly the state of all the buildings in the area have changed. The coverage of this fire station has reduced the fire risks in these areas significantly. And if we go to the police one, that is also reducing the crime risk across the city as a whole. Can't do anything about something that's already happened though, so that crime has been reported. Oh, it may have been dealt with, they may have arrested the person. Fire-wise, things are still looking a bit sketchy down at these edges. We do find that sometimes you need more fire buildings than police, because just they've got less of a coverage area. So it's possibly worth thinking about building a downtown fire station somewhere like this. Maybe over here, which will just boost up this area, and if this one's covering this area, it'll allow this fire station to concentrate more on this zone. And if a fire does break out, there will be fire engines that drive out from here to attend the fire. So it's reduced the travel time to this area, we hope. So I've jumped forward a bit and you can see we're now having problems with power. And we've got quite high demands again. I'll go back into my economy tab and to my budget and put my power back up to 90%. Should increase my power supply. Give that a couple of seconds to simulate. The slider should go back up and you can see I've now got lots of power again. Those areas are now served by power. That's good. Now if we have a look at this area, you can see that these buildings look slightly different to these ones. This is because this is the area where I put in a district and made this self-sustaining building, self-sufficient building. On your city, they deal with things themselves a bit. There we go. 30% less electricity, 30% less garbage, 30% less tax income. So that's the trade-off. You get less income from it, as you give them a tax break to live in these homes or to fund them being extra well insulated and stuff. But the demands go down as well, so you have to spend less on the houses. Okay, commercial and residential demand is quite high, so let's pause the game and deal with that again. Same as we've been doing before. Look at an area, think out about where we want it to go. I can extend my commercial down here, that was the plan. I've got no room for a residential here, so I'm going to have to build more residential space over this side. Okay, that's allowed us to hit Tiny Town. Our population's up to 1,100, and this unlocks a lot of stuff.